we're just gonna go for. Oh, hey, it just worked right away. Hey, everybody, it's Ace Attorney time.
You're always surprised when it works right away, but it works right away like 30 or 40% of the time.
Yeah, I know. It's just not quite consistent enough for me to be like one way or the other. You know. Oh, now it's crashing.
Oh, there it is.
That's
there
weird. It doesn't
there.
usually crash several seconds after starting. It's usually before starting. Okay, hey,
we
we're
got
good.
there.
Now, I don't know what's going to happen to that 5 seconds at the beginning where it was crashing, so we'll see what happens, I guess. But hey, it's Ace Attorney time. Oh no, I don't have any of the correct pronouns or names on the screen.
I'm Olga. Does that mean I can make up my own new name?
Sure.
Jacob. See how fast I was about that? I decided a fake name for myself back in middle school. Just in case I ever needed one. I didn't want to be caught with my pants down, you know?
Yeah, listen, I did dumber things in middle school and high school. I get it.
Of course, what I did was really smart.
Yeah. All right,
when we're asked for names and we can't reveal our real names, I'll naturally say Jacob, and you'll flounder.
And I'll say something like Schmevin.
You're gonna be caught. You're gonna be caught with your fingers in the pot. No, wait.
That's right, so last what happened? Strongheart was like mere moments from declaring Van Zeek's not guilty, and then Cosmo objected.
Cosmo, nah, actually. Council? Stick with the jazz. Yeah, it has to be a name close to mine, because then people will be like, that makes sense. That he looks like a Jacob. Because I do. You see, it's very clever. People used to guess my name was Jacob. They'd get it wrong all the time, and I realized I'm just naturally Jacob coded as a person, right?
It's a Jacobson. Like adjacent, but for Jacob.
No, I know what you meant.
Yeah, I mean, that's I could just go with a different spelling of my own name.
Steven with a V. I don't know that one's gonna work as well.
I don't have to change almost anything.
What
if I go with Stefan?
I mean, that's
but like
something.
With an A.
The problem is
like
you're trying to obscure your real. We're trying to obscure your real name, you know. So you probably don't want it to be something that sounds a lot like your real name.
Sounds a lot like or is my real name if you say it out loud.
Or is. You know, that's just what I'm thinking. Hold on, let me get a sip of water to kick this off.
We love a hydrated king.
Refreshing. The accused's innocence hasn't been fully established at all. Accused's. I don't like that word.
Accused's.
And therefore, accused's. Accused's. And therefore it would be wrong to deliver a verdict at this time. That is the prosecution's unwavering position.
What?
But Judge Jigoku has already confessed. Nevertheless, I don't care. Yeah, and Berhok Van Zeeks has committed crimes for which he must be punished. That's not how this works. Well, it would appear that you have information that the court needs to hear, Prosecutor Asagi. When did I make him more bad Irish instead of bad Scottish?
I don't know. This is whatever works.
When did that happen? What Jacob was your middle name? It might be. Maybe I'm a real Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. You ever think about that? His name is my name too. Whenever we go out, there goes John Jacob Jingleheimer. No, John. When the first one was John. See, all guys on the same.
He knew.
He's also John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt pilled.
You know, the common pill.
His name is mine. I haven't heard that song in a hot minute. Certainly, the murder of Inspector Gregson was actually carried out by Seishiro Jigoku. I have suggestions for a surname. Two, in fact. Oh, do tell. But it's clear from the witness's testimony that he was coerced into complying with the plot. Into this sick, merciless assassin exchange.
You can't keep saying it. That may be true, but...
So what I want to know is, who coerced Jigoku? Everyone's been asking me this. Who was pulling the strings? The victim went to France, having been ordered on a mission for the Reaper, only to be murdered. In other words, the mastermind behind the assassin exchange is someone in a position... God damn it gets me every time.
They keep saying
in a position to give such an order. As we've already established, the Reaper himself. Well, certainly, that would appear to follow. The prosecution hereby formally accuses the man in the dock, Barack Van Zieks, of being the Reaper of the Bailey, and furthermore, I'm going to prove his guilt beyond all reasonable doubt.
What? What? Ah! That's actually quite far to fall backwards when you see the wide shot.
Oh, wait, did they fix the bench? I wasn't looking.
I forgot to look.
Order, order! The Reaper of the Bailey is a long-standing mystery, Council. Are you suggesting you have some new information with which to build a case? Scotland Yard has already investigated Lord Van Zieks very thoroughly in that regard. They found no evidence whatsoever to substantiate the claim that he is the Reaper. Barack Obama. Obama. Perhaps, but circumstances have now changed.
What do you mean?
Look at this photograph. It's just a crude drawing that clearly he's made. Now let me be clear. Fades from view. It's already been established that the assassin exchange was negotiated with Jigoku by the Reaper himself. Which means we now have a new line of questioning by which to identify definitively the man's identity.
What a hell of a sentence.
I was expecting like bongos, some slam poetry to start up.
Hell yeah.
That is the prosecution's intention here. I must say, I'm surprised by quite how tenaciously you appear to want to besmirch my name. You are guilty of an unforgivable crime, Lord Van Zieks. I will bring you to justice for it, whatever it takes.
That explains Cosmo's silence before. He'll stop at nothing to finish what Lord Van Zieks unwittingly started 10 years ago.
Very well. While it's extremely irregular, I will on this occasion grant the prosecution further opportunity for witness testimony. The defendant will disclose any and all involvement that he has with the Reaper and the assassination exchange.
Van Zieks just steps up. None. At all. What are you fucking talking about?
Never, and I cannot stress this enough. Ever have I done. I thank you, my lord, for guiding the court so wisely. I hereby declare this court to be in session for a supplementary hearing.
Okay. Cool.
Hey, turn a blind eye to the discourtesy as I verify that this vile and unremitting accusation hasn't soured the contents of my old chalice.
Lord Van Zieks,
I first had to suffer under the pseudonym of the Reaper 10 years ago now. And ever since that time, I've endured the weight of implied guilt that's gone with it. So I welcome the chance to testify now. And crush those allegations once and for all. Good.
Just the single good.
Good. Then let justice decide, Lord Van Zeeks. The prosecution seeks to begin building its case by calling the accused to the stand as the primary witness. In order that he may answer the accusation brought by the prosecution that he is the Reaper of the Bailey. And what says the defense?
This is fucking stupid, is what the defense says.
Putting the defendant in the witness stand can be extremely dangerous. And Kazuma-sama is so emotional at the moment, he's not thinking logically.
You're right that he's not himself, but I knew it would be like this. And I came here today determined to face him through whatever might arise, as a lawyer and as his friend.
And that's what we must do.
The defense has no objection, my lord.
Very well. Defendant, you will take the witness stand. And give formal testimony on the subject of your involvement with the Reaper and the assassination exchange.
Just in case you've forgotten.
As you wish, my lord.
Witness testimony. The Reaper and the assassin exchange.
The assassination. I've never taken the life of another, nor have I instructed another to kill. I've been investigating the truth behind the Reaper for years, and I was aware of Gregson's involvement. That's the reason why I went to Fresno Street that day, and how I came to discover the body. The point is, no common thread exists between myself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson.
Well, that part's not true.
Clearly, therefore, there's no reason to suspect me of being behind the assassin exchange. So you deny all accusations by the prosecution, both that you are the Reaper of the Bailey, and that you masterminded the assassin exchange. I acknowledge that the public at large believes me to be the Reaper. However, that's a fallacy, which I alone am in a position to forswear. Naturally, the prosecution believes the testimony just given by the accused to be untrue. Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Yes?
Let me ask you, why are you here? What really brings you to this courtroom?
A desire to uncover the truth.
Even if the truth proves your client to be guilty?
From all my experiences in this courtroom, I've come to realize something. The truth can't be hidden. Sooner or later, it will come out. Bruno Mars is gay.
The truth come out.
So it's always my intention to work with my client in pursuit of the truth.
I want you to remember what you just said. Enough Oh god, we looked this one up
Dilatory?
once too.
I don't know.
I think it's dilatory. Hold on. Yeah, it showed up in my, search history. Dilatory.
Oh.
Enough dilatory chatter. Counsel for the defense, proceed to cross-examine the witness.
Ah, yes, my lord. I know exactly what you're thinking, Kazuma. I know you're just waiting to point it out. The contradiction you're convinced lies somewhere within this man's testimony. The Reaper and the Assassin exchange. Oh god, we still only have 2 lives. I sort of thought this would come back. well, they're taking life, Norbert. I'll just press on everything. Hold it. So you're not what the general public refer to as the infamous Reaper of the Bailey.
Exactly. Don't imagine for a moment that the court will be satisfied with a one-word answer on this. I realize that.
If you're intending to comment on every sentence, this could take a while, Kazuma. Didn't you find it disturbing, though, that one by one defendants who'd been acquitted after your unsuccessful prosecution were killed? Yeah.
Let me answer that question by posing another. If one by one defendants who'd been acquitted after your successful defense were killed, would you find that disturbing?
Disturbing? I couldn't possibly say how that would make me feel with a one-word answer like that.
Exactly.
Well, that told me.
But even though I'm not the Reaper, that doesn't mean I ignored all that hearsay.
Investigating the truth behind the Reaper for years, and I was aware of Greg's involvement. Hold it! You say for years. How long exactly?
Since the first time the Reaper's influence was felt in this courtroom. 10 years ago now.
And your investigation led you somehow to Inspector Gregson, you're saying?
I didn't want to believe it. He was a personal acquaintance. We'd worked on cases together in the past.
A friend, even.
It felt like a betrayal, but I demanded permission to search his office at the yard without his knowledge. Which is when you found his secret notebook, is it? It's when I learned the location he'd noted only as grouse and the appointment at 5 p.m. on the 31st. Though I didn't know the significance of those details at the time.
But now we're at the nub of the matter.
As it turns out, the significance for me personally was very unfortunate.
Reason why I went to Fresno Street and how I came to discover the body. Hold it! But why did you go to that specific location?
I thought that if it was the Reaper's headquarters, then by turning up there at 5 o'clock, I would catch whoever was involved red-handed. Sadly, all that was awaiting me was the inspector's corpse.
Yes, even though it wasn't designed for you, you walked straight into the trap set by Jigoku.
Exactly. Jigoku had intended to implicate Hugh Boone. But unhappily for me, I arrived at the scene first. Ha! A ridiculously careless blunder!
Moved on just to throwing insults around, I see then, Kazuma.
Think what you will. It doesn't change the truth.
No common thread exists between myself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson. This is the one I think is untrue, but I don't know what specifically it is. There is a link between you and Gregson, though.
Of course, we were close acquaintances. We'd worked on numerous cases together. I considered the man to be a mentor of sorts. He taught me a number of important lessons.
Hey, he did? Such as what?
Where to buy good fish and chips. And such like.
Well, that was convincing.
Dr. Wilson was a coroner of of course, but that was some time in the past. And in any case, I understand it was several years ago that he was invited to work at a Japanese university.
That's right, he was a visiting professor at the Imperial Yume University in Tokyo.
It should be unambiguously clear then that no link exists between myself and him. In other words, I had no motive for sending some assassin across the oceans to kill the man.
It sounds plausible enough, and I want to believe it, but something about this just doesn't quite sit right with me. Yeah, me neither, Ryunosuke. So therefore, there's no reason to suspect me of being behind the assassination. Hold it! Certainly as it stands, there's no evidence to suggest that you concocted this.
Objection.
But as it stands, we only have the accused's insistence of his innocence.
Sorry?
Perhaps there is some reason that would explain why he masterminded the assassin exchange. And if a reason could be established later in these proceedings, then the accused claim in this testimony that he wasn't involved would amount to perjury.
Well, yes, that's true, but...
Clearly, Kazuma-sama intends to identify a reason and use it to make his case.
So if we don't identify something first...
he'll gain the advantage.
This could be dangerous. Convincing testimony by Lord Van Zeeks.
Certainly, with no apparent connection between the three men, there's no way to establish a motive. The testimony seems unassailable as far as I can see. Oh dear me, what a bleak expression.
I agree, there doesn't appear to be any particular link between them, at first glance. But with the inclusion of one other person... I must be overthinking it, surely.
Another person, Mr. Naruhodo?
I need to think back over all the information we've gleaned so far.
Alright, now review my notes about the case and all the evidence in the court record.
Could it be that Lord Van Zeeks has something to hide after all? Well, so I'm pretty sure Wilson was the coroner on the
On
professor.
Clint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they clearly
Because we have
are
that
connected.
report.
We sure do.
That was actually written by Mikotoba, but signed by John Wilson.
Yes. And yeah, coroner John H. Wilson. Credit to Inspector Gregson, and yeah, this is obviously it mentions all three of. Well, it doesn't mention him, but
Well,
he's
it's
clearly
his brother,
involved.
so we don't need that. What is this? An autopsy report. Wait, this is 10 years old. From the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. What? My brother's autopsy report? I'm pleased to see the defense doesn't intend to run from the undeniable truth. Order in the court! What reason they have for presenting a 10-year-old autopsy report here, counsel?
The autopsy report of the professor's final victim, is an indelible link between Inspector Gregson, Dr. Wilson, and the defendant.
Not that accursed name again. The professor. I've personally researched all of the court records relating to that case. I know that, at that time, autopsy was considered sacrilege to the victim's soul. For a number of the aristocracy, like Lord Clint Van Zeeks, it was unthinkable. But someone implored the powers that be to allow the autopsy to go ahead. Inspector Gregson. He declared that he was certain he would obtain conclusive proof from the procedure. And it was Dr. Wilson who conducted the autopsy. His signature is clearly visible on the document.
Although we do know that that's forged.
No, it was his signature. He just didn't write the report.
Oh, right.
Because like the coroner would never actually write there. Like
Yeah.
that is how it
backwards.
works, really. Yeah.
Backwards in me brain.
As promised by Gregson, the autopsy did indeed produce evidence. Evidence that conclusively proved Genshin Asugi was guilty of the murders. In my brother's dying moments, he mustered all his remaining strength to leave that vital clue behind. What, did
We
he
still
eat
don't
something?
know what the
How
clue
did he-
was, yeah.
Yeah, I'm losing my mind with what they just keep dancing around it, you know?
Tell us what the thing was. Please.
I want to know what the thing was.
I gotta know.
Indeed. That was the key to indicting the professor for his crimes, and the conclusive evidence that convicted him. It enabled Lord Van Zieks to revenge his brother's senseless death with a marvelous victory in court. A marvelous victory, was it? I wonder if that's really true. What? Could the same be said if it turned out the key piece of evidence in question was in fact fabricated? If the inspector, the coroner, the prosecutor, the baker, the butcher all colluded together to cast an innocent Japanese man as a mass murderer and send him to his death? That's outrageous!
I mean, I'm betting that did happen, but Van Zieks
I
didn't
bet
know
it
anything
did
about
happen.
it.
And now, 10 years later, for some reason the secret has been threatened and needs protecting. Which is why the inspector and the coroner had to be silenced, isn't it? By someone in power in Japan and in Britain, using the two killers recruited for the assassin exchange. Order! Order at once! 10 years ago, my father was convicted in this very courtroom as a mass murderer to be sentenced to death. But it was all a sham, and I swore to myself that I'd prove it. Which is why I had to come to Britain, no matter the cost. You'll have to forgive me if I feel compelled to toast this vengeful Nipponese's tenacity of purpose here. However, he who fails to quash his emotions in the courtroom has failed as a lawyer.
Come on, Kazuma, you know this won't wash. You're claiming your father was misrepresented in a trial that took place a whole decade ago. You must see that without evidence, that's nothing more than a wild accusation.
As it happens, I have evidence.
What?
As the court has heard, I crossed the channel to France with Gregson on the 31st. I went with him on the pretext of being the assassin recruited to kill Seishiro Jigoku. But my true intentions were to make the inspector tell me the truth. What truth? The truth about the evidence, and he acknowledged what I'd already deduced. There's a closely guarded secret about what went on in that autopsy 10 years ago. What? Secret? I know nothing of any secret. And while we waited for my supposed mark in Jigoku's cabin, I drew my clan's illustrious sword, Karuma, before the inspector's eyes. He very quickly understood what my true motive was. Oh god, it's still
He's
me!
here.
No! Right, I see. You're Asuki's young lad, are you? And what? You gonna cut me down with that thing, is it? That will very much depend on the answers you give to my questions. I want to know what really happened 10 years ago. The truth, that's all. Before we get into it, let me make one thing clear. I still believe your father was a professor. There's no doubt in my mind. Unfortunately, back then, we didn't have the evidence we needed to make the crime stick. So, you admitted then, the evidence used in my father's trial was fabricated? For the good of the country. Anyway, I was just following orders. Orders? What exactly did you do? Speak! Not saying another word. Even if your life depends on it. That's right. Even then.
Shing.
Shing!
So that's when the tip of the sword broke.
Oh, Kazuma-sama. If the results of Clint Van Zeek's autopsy were fabricated, then the investigating officer Gregson and the lead coroner Wilson must have known about it. And they can only have been ordered to pervert the course of justice in that way by one man. The man leading the case for the prosecution, Barak Van Zeeks. The words. The defendant did have cause to organize this exchange of assassins. Exactly, and as was established earlier, it has to have been the Reaper himself who liaised with Jigoku in Japan to arrange the exchange.
Ah!
So it follows that the Reaper's true identity can only be that of the man who stands accused in this courtroom today, Barak Van Zeeks.
Objection!
Kazuma Asuki. What? What you've just told the court. Are you absolutely certain of your facts? Did Gregson really fabricate evidence for that trial 10 years ago? I heard it with my own ears. His shameful admission. Oh. In that case, I know. The name of the Reaper.
Yeah!
What?
Lord Van Zeeks?
I gave no such orders. I know that for certain. Which narrows down the remaining possibilities to one.
Yeah! If Lord Van Zeeks isn't the one behind all this, then yes, there is only one other person who could have done something like that. I believe I know who it is, too.
You!
I just had a
Told your
feeling
boy
this
I'd
name was
tell
going
him.
to come up. The true identity of the infamous Reaper of the Bailey is... I mean, it's gotta be Strongheart, right?
Strongheart.
I don't know who else it could be.
Let's pick Sandwich.
Marie, it was Sandwich all along. That bastard.
He's the only one old enough. He's been around since the dawn of time.
No, it has to have been Strongheart.
It's Strongheart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take that.
Because he was the prosecutor.
And then, yeah, Van Zieks asked to be instead. The only person who could have arranged the assassin exchange and manipulated the autopsy results is the Lord Chief Justice himself, Lord Mael Strongheart.
What? Lord Strongheart?
Yes, it's true that 10 years ago the defendant handled the prosecution of the professor in court, but he only took over the case after his brother, Lord Clint Van Zieks, had been killed. Strongheart's being awful quiet about this.
I can only assume that this is the most inappropriate joke in British judicial history.
Well, Lord Van Zieks,
10 years ago, I was very new to my profession. But I had a burning desire to avenge my brother's death, so I pleaded for control of the case.
ah, shit.
The investigation to that point, the supplication of the
I'm
Lord
okay.
to allow my brother's corpse to be good.
I was
To
trying
be
to tie my
examined.
hair and I knocked my headphones off, like violently.
Ah, I was wondering what that was.
That was my
I was just
headphones
gonna work
flying
past
off
it.
and crashing on the ground. Okay, it also turned the volume down on them somehow. There we go.
All the evidence I was given, the autopsy reports, it all came from you. I've spent my life since then believing I was in your debt for the way you stood aside and let me handle the crime. But I see now. I was very much mistaken.
It was a hugely influential force that caused the inspector in the corner to break the law 10 years ago. And that same force was still felt a decade later on the other side of the world by Seishiro Jigoku. Lord Strongheart, everything falls into place when we recognize that you are the Reaper of the Bailey. Yeah, he's bringing out the boot again.
The court awaits your response, my lord. This may very well go down in British judicial history, but I assure you, it is no joke. Consider this a formal accusal by the defense.
Wait, hold on. You can't speak for me.
It doesn't warrant a response. A formal accusal thought to be absurd. The defense's claims are utter nonsense, a wild fantasy at best.
You're not going to defend yourself?
You claim there is some wrongdoing with Lord Clint Van Ziek's autopsy. That's utterly untrue. But I heard it from Gregson's own lips. He admitted to it. And where is your evidence? What?
Yeah.
Gregson's dead now. Unless you were thinking of summoning a ghost to the stand.
That would never happen.
That would never happen. Ghosts and law?
No.
No. You mean to say... I forget how the system works in your little backwater country.
Ah, there's the racism. Had to be somewhere.
But in the courts of the British Empire, without evidence, there is no case.
Ooh.
I have no intention of entertaining some wild fantasy that can't possibly be substantiated by anyone or anything. Why did he
Yeah. I don't know how we get this one, I'll be honest. We don't have anything.
Order! Order in court! Following Inspector Gregson's murder, and in the light of Dr. Wilson's death as well, There's really no one left who could testify about the events of 10 years ago. Is there?
Sherlock Sholmes, Sherlock Sholmes, Sherlock Sholmes.
So that was the real purpose of the assassin exchange. This court has no business raking over the coals of a case that was concluded over a decade ago. The accusal brought by the prosecution and the defense is categorically denied. I take it there are no objections?
Kazuma. He's more or less waited his whole life for this moment. There really nothing else we can do now? Is there no other avenue we can go down in pursuit of the truth about what happened all those years ago? If only there was someone who could testify about Clint Van Ziek's autopsy. Shit. I didn't think that was going to... He's gone to extraordinary lengths to cover his tracks. Even so far as dispatching an assassin all the way to Japan to ensure Dr. Wilson's silence. And Dr. Scythe won't say anything against Strongheart.
Ryunosuke, please.
I'm sorry, Kazuma.
Mr. Naruhodo. Isn't there someone rather important whom you've overlooked?
Hmm?
Your silence is beautifully eloquent. I take it we've reached the end of this debate then. Let the matter be closed. For good.
Objection! Wait, I thought of something. Actually, there is one person. One person who could still testify about that autopsy. Is it Mikatoba?
Don't be ridiculous. There's no one left. Yeah, it's Mikatoba.
Yeah.
Who, Ryunosuke? Who? Tell me.
Kazuma,
Please, this trial can't end. Not yet.
I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for the truth. The person the defense would like to call to the stand to testify about the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Zieks is, I assume, Mikatoba. If it's not Mikatoba, then it's Strongheart, which would be fucking bananas, but really funny.
It's Mikatoba, because he's the one who actually did the work.
Yeah. Ha!
Heaven help us! Another Japanese!
An expert in forensic medicine, my lord. Professor Eugene Mikatoba, 16 years ago. He came to London with Seishiro Jigoku and Genshin Asagi as a visiting student.
And what could his testimony possibly tell us? Professor Mikatoba was a primary assistant during the autopsy in question. He also was the person who actually penned the report. Correct. The autopsy was carried out by the coroner, John Wilson. The report carries his signature. It was the primary assistant's duty to keep a written record of the coroner's work during the procedure. In actual fact, the coroner merely read over the report at the end and signed it.
In other words, Professor Mikatoba witnessed the entire autopsy from start to finish. The defense demands that Professor Mikatoba be summoned as a witness as a matter of urgency. Whatever really happened in that autopsy laboratory 10 years ago is something only he can tell us. No.
The defense's demand is denied.
What?
But Professor Mikatoba is in London at this very moment. We could summon him to the stand in minutes.
No, of course he's not going to agree to it. Strongheart has no intention of summoning anyone who knows. He's too concerned about protecting himself.
Prosecutor Rosaki, let me refresh your memory, as you seem to have forgotten the prosecution's stance. Only minutes ago, you accused the defendant of being the Reaper and of masterminding the assassin exchange. I did, yes. So present your evidence for those claims and make your case complete. I... Fuck you. At this time, I don't have the requisite evidence. But that's exactly why we need witness testimony.
Very threatening.
The professor case is closed. There are no clues in the distant past that will bolster your argument today. I'm afraid to say, Prosecutor Asagi, that you would appear to be possessed by the spirit of your late homicidal father. Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I stated earlier, this court has already reached a conclusion with respect to the matter at hand. Inspector Gregson was murdered by Japanese Supreme Court Judge, insane sentence, Seishiro Jigoku. As for any hidden circumstances that may exist, they will be investigated in due course by the proper authorities.
Objection. But we all know what will happen. That'll just give the mastermind of the whole venture time to cover his tracks again.
By which you mean me?
Yes!
Your punishment for this contemptible behavior will be decided at a later date. As for you, Prosecutor Asaki, you'll be remanded following these proceedings. Willingly, I trust, since you gave your word. Ah! This futile game of revenge is over, young Master Asaki. Break the bench. I want another one broken. Ooh, ah. I'm not good enough of a voice actor to pull that one off.
Yeah. There's gotta be something.
Ah! Ooh,
I didn't do that one. That just
get down
happened.
for the sickness. Yeah, I assumed. It's fine. Who is it?
Yeah!
It's Harla. Yeah.
Mr. Sholmes?
This is no place for amateur detection, Mr. Sholmes. May I remind you that these proceedings are closed to the general public. You will leave the courtroom at once.
Objection! Mr. Sholmes was instrumental in the apprehension of Seishiro Jigoku before he fled from Europe. The court should hear what he has to say. Lord Mayor Strongheart, it's imperative that you refrain from bringing this trial to an end at this stage.
Is it really? And why would that be?
You need only recall your own words from the opening of the trial to answer that question. If I may, we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Surely it can't be that the shock of being accused of being the Reaper yourself has erased that from your memory, can it?
The whole truth, sir, has already been uncovered.
It would seem that we have a great many important members of the judiciary present here today. I put it to you, my dear fellows, should the trial end at this juncture? After all, why have you been invited to attend? To nod along to the prevarications, that's a fun one. Prevarications of your superiors?
Order! Order in the court!
It seems to me that we stand before a door that leads to a new era of legal practices. A door that is ajar. Let us emerge from the shadows.
Why is it a door? Is it a jar?
Oh god. Let us emerge from the shadows of the Reaper's decade-long ascendancy. For you and you alone, my dear fellows, have the power to push this door open now.
I thought it was a jar. The auditors in the gallery have no right to express an opinion on court proceedings. Silence!
He's right. The judge has absolute authority here. Yes, if he calls the trial to an end, it must end.
Will that really do? I sense dark things occurring behind the scenes. Dark things indeed. Is there a single person here present who can also have the blah blah blah? What's? The trial should go on. Summon the witness.
That's right, we need to clear this up before that young Japanese fellow's remanded in custody. My lord, you assured those present that you would uncover the whole truth here.
Vindicate yourself of this outlandish accusation.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's the foundation of British law.
A toast to my dependable colleagues in the gallery.
On with the trial.
On with the trial.
They're chanting testify. Fuck yeah, dude.
Testify.
Well, my
Testify.
lord. You hear the voice of the British justice, I take it? I think you'll find it will be rather awkward to silence. This fucking rules.
The court will recess briefly.
Huh.
I have no intention of shrinking from these allegations. Bailiff, arrange for the subpoena of the witness at once. As soon as the gentleman arrives at the courthouse, we shall reconvene.
A recess won't be necessary, my lord.
I brought him with me. He's in my bucket. Pardon?
Vtuber's a close friend of mine. He accompanied me today and is waiting in the antechamber as we speak. I do believe he's been enjoying a little trip down memory lane, in fact.
What? Professor Vtuber is here in the courthouse.
Mr. Sholmes, you didn't know this would happen, did you? My dear fellow, no one is in a better position to answer that question than you, surely. I wasn't just asking for the fun of it, you know.
Well, I must thank you for your assistance in this matter, Mr. Sholmes. You are of no further use here. Kindly leave the courtroom at once.
But of course, in truth, I find myself rather busy now as a result of these developments. Mr. Narhado. Ah, yes? I trust you have Iris's little lucky charm with you. Absolutely. It's still in my pocket. She sends her regards and a reminder. If you find yourself at a dead end, the ears are at your disposal. Just one tug, if you please. Oh, of course.
In that case, the trial will continue without delay. Bailiff, show the witness to the stand. But what if there was a delay? For me to go to the bathroom.
Perhaps. So it's Lord Strongheart. He's the Reaper of the Bailey. Where exactly is this trial going to take me, I wonder? Just how deep am I about to be plunged into the blackness of the abyss? Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to head into the heart of this maelstrom and confront whatever horrors it tries to drown me under. To be continued, I assume. And an ask to save my current progress. I will wait for Josh. How we doing, chat? That was some sick shit. Like in a good way. It was some good sick shit. And this game is really good. I think these two might just pass the original trilogy as my favorite, depending on how this wraps up. But like I feel like the game has earned my trust in that regard. Good stuff. I'm gonna take a little sippy now. Slurp, slurp.
I leave you alone for 2 minutes
delicious.
and you're saying slurp slurp into the camera.
Yeah. Alright, I did my little speech and we hit the to be continued. What the fuck? Why are you here?
Hi, Gory.
She's staring right at him.
I don't know. I feel like Mikatoba's liver isn't going to stay in his body for very long. Look out, watch out for your liver.
My liver! Bah!
So, witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Yujin Mikotoba, lecturer in forensic medicine at the Imperial Yume University in Tokyo, Japan.
And Professor Mikotoba, the young lady beside you is upsetting me.
This is Dr. Maria Gori, Scotland Yard's practicing coroner, the daughter of Dr. Scythe, I understand. Yeah, it's Dr. Scythe. I'm afraid I can't tell you why she's here. She just appeared.
You summon the strange Japanese man as witness to the autopsy, but you don't summon Mama. That makes no sense. She was there too.
That's about the size of it. I've had her eyes boring into the side of my cheek constantly while I was in the antechamber too. Poor man. The idea of it's making me shudder.
The revelations about Dr. Scythe that came to light some days ago defiled the reputation of the entire judiciary.
God, that was like less than a week ago, I think.
She was therefore deemed unfit to appear as a witness in today's proceedings. The Ministry of Justice decision on that is final. Well, we wouldn't want any more perjury to be committed, would we?
The Ministry of Justice? Some questionable strings are being pulled, I think.
I remember you, Dr. Mikotoba. But I certainly never expected to be meeting you under these circumstances.
Yes, it's been a long while, Lord Strongheart.
The prosecution understands that you were a visiting student of forensic science in London until 10 years ago.
That's right. I studied under Dr. Wilson at St. Sinners.
So, you were present at the autopsy of my brother, Lord Clint Van Zee.
I was, yes. I assisted Dr. Wilson with the entire procedure.
Fucking Mikotoba just between these two freaks, these two weirdos.
He's just a guy in a suit, and then there's the fucking visage of death and a vampire.
Not a vampire! Never have I ever been a vampire. Ugh, Mama is far more skilled than any Japanese man.
Well, Dr. Wilson asked me to be his primary assistant on that occasion. You alright over there?
Me?
Yeah. Thought I heard sounds.
Yeah, I was just laughing.
Ah, I see.
I laughed. I don't.
The microphone
were
only sort of
weirdly
picked it up.
bullying me for some
It
reason.
confused me.
Oh, I see.
And this autopsy report was actually penned by you, I believe. Yes, I noted all the doctor's findings, and when we were done, he read through the document and signed it.
Poor Mama. As secondary assistant, she wouldn't have had such a good view of all the inmates. So, Professor, do you remember Inspector Gregson?
Yes, of course. If it wasn't for his insistence, Lord Van Zeek's autopsy would never have happened. But he was absolutely convinced it would reveal decisive evidence against Genshin, you see. So Lord Strongheart had to entreat the nobility to allow it to take place. Do correct me if I'm wrong, my lord.
It was the result of the autopsy that the mass murderer was apprehended and justice was done. But Gregson admitted it before he was killed. He admitted that the results of the autopsy were fabricated. You were there at the time, so you must testify. You have an obligation to tell the truth about what really went on.
Absolutely. That's precisely why I'm here.
And that's why I'm here too. So she's just kind of allowed to be here? 'Cause
Yeah, I
she
guess.
just wandered in, I guess?
I guess.
I feel... Okay.
He must
It's
just be
fine.
like, fuck it, what's the child gonna do?
Well then, you'll give your formal testimony now, witness. And before you begin, a word of warning.
Oh?
You'll state truthfully and accurately what you saw and what you had heard at the time.
I wouldn't dream of doing otherwise, my lord.
The moment your testimony verges on supposition, I will expel you from my courtroom. Remember that.
I'm feeling she's gonna get expelled from the courtroom. The autopsy of Clint Van Zeeks. From my own observations, I couldn't say that there was any indication of the autopsy results having been fabricated. Death resulted from a wound made by a Western-style sword transfixing the heart. I found a little strange.
There were no other signs of internal injury. Nothing questionable at all. It was just that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence removed from the man's stomach. Presumed to have been swallowed by the victim. Oh my god, he did swallow
He
something.
swallowed that fucking
As
ring,
a way.
didn't he?
As a way of posthumously identifying his assailant.
There was that fucking ring that was super obvious in the one picture we've seen of him.
Yep. Nothing to suggest fabrication.
Professor Mikatoba, are you certain about that? Well, nothing that I could positively identify as such, much less swear to in testimony.
Ah,
His breakdown is gonna be so fucking good.
well, that clears things up nicely. The only fabrication here, Asaki, has come from you. You claim the inspector confessed just before his death, but that is the fabrication. No, he freely acknowledged it. I swear he did. Freely, with the tip of a sword at his throat, the man was very clearly at his wit's end. The court will give no credence to this confession that was uttered in obvious desperation. Quite simply, there was nothing questionable about the investigation of Lord Clint Van Zeek's death. And with this testimony, we have, without question, uncovered the whole truth of the matter.
If I may, my lord. There was most certainly something questionable about it, and the whole truth does rather elude us, I feel.
Beg your pardon?
Well, you're obviously aware of the facts of the case. All 4 of the professor's previous victims died when an enormous beast was set upon them that ripped out their throats.
Oh, horrifying crimes.
But curiously, the killer's last victim, Lord Clint Van Zeeks, suffered a different fate. Yes, you're right.
He was stabbed through the heart with a sword. That's enough.
Huh?
I believe I warned you about this, witness. I promised to curtail your testimony as soon as it entered the realms of supposition or speculation.
Very well, my lord. In that case, the defense will pursue a conclusion to this during the cross-examination.
What?
I have the right to cross-examine every witness after testimony. And I fully intend to exercise that right.
Nosuke. I'm afraid that even the presiding judge has no authority to contravene the letter of the law. As I'm sure every member of the judiciary present in the gallery would agree. We're bullying him with the public.
Woo!
Well, not the public.
The private. She's just staring at him, dude.
With a cleaver in hand.
I know.
Very well. You may begin, counsel. However, the moment your argument strays from established facts, I will not hesitate to bring the cross-examination to an end. Proceed with caution.
Yes, my lord. Cross-examination. The autopsy of Clint Van Zeeks. Observations, I couldn't say there was any indication in the autopsy was Hold it! You couldn't say? No, sadly not.
But then you couldn't say there wasn't any indication either, could you?
No, true, I couldn't. I was at Dr. Wilson's side as he performed the procedure, recording what he did. But at times, of course, he instructed me to fetch implements and such like. Whilst I was away from the operating table, obviously I could have missed something. And at those times, what was the secondary assistant doing?
Following this Japanese man's orders to adjust the lighting for passing implements. But that doesn't mean the mama wasn't a vital part of the team.
Quite, yes. So would you kindly refrain from staring at my cheek like that?
Professor Mikatoba, think!
Think, Professor, think! Wait a minute!
Think! Wait a minute, that's... Hold on! I'm glad we had the same reaction. Good job.
Whew. A bit that
Was
only
there
works
nothing?
because of the dumb shit we're already doing.
Yep. Yep. Was there nothing at that time? Where did I get... Was there nothing at all that seemed out of place to you?
Well, yes, there was, as a matter of fact. Altered from wound by a western-style sword transfixing the heart that I found a little strange. Hold it!
Whew.
And all the previous 4 killings attributed to the professor. The
Here's
victims
the
were
dog.
killed by an enormous dog, I believe. Their throats were,
Big
well,
dog.
mauled. Correct, and yet Lord Van Zeeks was stabbed. Ah, do you mean to say you think Lord Clint Van Zeeks may not in fact have been one of the professor's victims?
There is no basis on which to doubt the findings of the investigations carried out at that time.
But
Genshin Asuki confessed to all of his crimes upon arrest. He admitted to having taken the lives of all 5 members of the aristocracy.
a lot of args from Kazan.
Oh! Ooh. Just making my own soundboard.
Yet the beast that was used to carry out the killings was never identified.
It's tough, isn't
No
it?
evidence was found to suggest that Genshin had ever kept a dog.
A true hound of hell. Thanks, Van Zakes. Glad you're here, buddy.
Helpful.
I'm just here for pitty little one-liners, don't you know?
Hold it.
Oh,
But, you weren't actually present at the autopsy yourself, were you, Dr. Gory?
I was not born yet. Does that matter?
Oh, she would have been 9. Well, I
Yeah,
just
she would've been
wonder
9.
how useful your testimony can be in that case, really. I mean, it would be different if your mother, Dr. Scythe, were in the stand, but...
I have read all the paperwork about the case, and the mom has told me the story countless times. The statement I just made is exactly what's written in the autopsy report.
I did confirm that myself at the time, it's true. Besides the stab wound, there were no other signs of internal trauma. I see.
Mama told me all about it.
Oh?
She said there was nothing of note. I accidentally went a little fancy. There was nothing of note of internally. But they did find an amazing piece of evidence. Something unbelievable.
Unbelievable? What do you mean?
Come on, Dr. Gory, what is it? I've been reduced to just yelling at people.
Beautiful but dangerous
Was
piece of
just
evidence.
that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence
Hold
removed
it.
from that man's stomach.
What exactly was it, though? What does beautiful but dangerous mean?
Well, it was sparkly and round, with a hole, as if it might slip over a finger, perhaps.
It was a ring. Belonging to Genshin Asuki.
My father's ring was inside the victim's stomach.
At the time, Genshin wore a large ring on the digitus quartus of his left hand, the fourth, or ring finger. Fuck off.
I'm a doctor! I'm a doctor! Look at me!
I'd understood it was some sort of keepsake.
When my father left Japan for London 16 years ago, I was 8 years old. I'm now 24. Addition.
Math.
But I
Isn't that
remember
cool?
that. But I remember that ring.
You do?
My father's possessions were sent to our family home in Japan after his death, but the ring wasn't among them. Obviously not. It was a key piece of evidence. It remains under lock and key in the stores at Scotland Yard to this day.
After the autopsy, Genshin was summoned by the police to check for the presence of his ring. It wasn't on his hand, of course. Moreover, there were deep abrasions on his finger where it had been pulled off. They arrested the man there and then, right before my eyes.
How could they? I brought the ring along with me today.
What? What? Ooh, holy shit. That's a cool ring.
That's a sick ring. Chunky. Here it is, a bit dusty from years in the stores.
Good gracious! Yes, that's it! I haven't seen that in 10 long years.
And that was found inside the victim's stomach?
Yes, I'm afraid so. You hesitated there, Professor Mikotoba. Should we read something into that? Well, it's just that thinking back now, I didn't actually witness the moment it was extracted from the victim's body.
Oh my, really?
At that precise moment, Dr. Wilson had asked me to fetch him a new scalpel, you see.
Gory. The removal of this historic evidence from the stores requires my consent, does it not?
However it came to be here, the court cannot deny that this is crucial evidence for today's proceedings.
Very well. You may submit it.
Mr. Oski's ring, we gotta inspect that fucking thing. It's not the sort of ring normally seen in Japan. They almost look like claws protecting that jewel. Let me see it, let me see it, let me see it, let me see it. Oh, come on, please. Okay, this is not as helpful as I thought it would be. But
We can click on the jewel, the precious gem.
these fat claws are doing a good job of protecting the equally fat gemstone in the middle of this ring.
Something about the phrase "fat claws" is really getting me. Yes, if you're clumsy, you could give yourself a rather nasty cut on them, I would think.
Ow! Now my finger's bleeding. The claws really are sharp.
Oh my. That was very quick clumsiness, Mr. Naruto. Even for you.
Who would make such a dangerous ring? You couldn't swallow it without doing yourself some fairly serious damage, surely.
A sticky mochi bun of about that size would go down much better, with some red bean paste in the middle.
Someone as clumsy as me would probably manage to choke on it somehow. Yeah, so there doesn't seem to be anything... Oh man, I was kind of hoping for more clues, but I'm guessing the clue is just like, how the fuck did he swallow this thing without causing further internal injuries? There's just no way. Thing is dangerous as hell.
We must examine it very carefully, Mr. Naruto. Very carefully indeed.
That makes me feel like I didn't finish examining it. What are we not seeing? Nothing. Nothing at all. It's like, that didn't even update anything when we did that. It's just like, yep, that's a ring. Alright, we'll press this one and then see where we're at.
That is a ring.
Hold it. And that was the decisive piece of evidence that led to Genshin Asugi's arrest?
Correct. Any further investigations were Scotland Yard after the man admitted to his crimes. That's a lie! My father was no killer. Barak Van Zeeks.
How
It was
can you
you.
possibly?
Man, listen. You twisted the truth to suit your purposes. Your hatred of me doesn't change the facts that were established 10 years ago. My brother Clint had closed in on the professor. In the end, he exposed the man and put a stop to his lethal rampage. In the way only a man of my brother's caliber could.
That's everything, is it?
Poor father. He looks so troubled.
Perhaps because 10
Like
years
he might
ago,
get stabbed.
something happened that's been weighing on his mind.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe that too. I couldn't say were his words. That phrasing was very deliberate, I'm sure.
I wonder if he's had his suspicions all these years.
If that's the case, we need to use this cross-examination to prove what really happened, and remove any trace of doubt.
If we could establish that Kazuma-sama's claim of fabricated evidence was true,
We can't shy away from this now, even if what we might uncover could lead to total calamity.
don't worry, Mr. Naruto. I'll be right beside you, whatever may happen.
Didn't say there was anything. Wound by web, that found strange. No other signs of internal injury. I present this fuck-ass ring. There's no fucking way he swallowed this without scratching the
He
hell out
swallowed
of his...
this without scratchy little throat?
without scratching anything
Don't think
internally.
so. Don't think so.
Objection.
Was Clint Van Zeek's a throat goat?
The court has heard the ring
Your
was
Honor.
Stupid. The court has heard that the ring was extracted from the victim's stomach, but you didn't actually see it being removed, did you, Professor Mikotoba? That's right. As I said in my testimony before, at that moment I was fetching a replacement scalpel that Dr. Wilson had requested. In other words, you can neither confirm nor deny whether this ring, in fact, really came from the victim's stomach or not.
What are you suggesting, Counsel?
That the ring was never in the victim's stomach to begin with. It's entirely feasible that Dr. Wilson fabricated that detail about the autopsy.
What are you saying? That Dr. Wilson?
That Dr. Wilson was in possession of the ring in advance after it was somehow stolen from Mr. Asagi. And he produced it during the procedure, pretending to have found it there and then in the victim's stomach.
Objection!
Supposition at best. Whose side are you on? Supposition at best. What possible evidence do you have to support such a rash claim?
This evidence.
I get that it's really
right
just
here.
that like he doesn't want to like he like we got to be sure, right? You know, like he's
Yeah.
not gonna just accept us being like, ah, no, you got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
But like, come on, man, come on, man.
This evidence right here.
That's the autopsy report. It's explicit in that report, Counsel. Other than the ring, nothing unusual was noted internally. So I'm not sure how you intend to prove your point.
You've already done it for me, my lord. The lack of internal injury says it all.
What? Wait.
To swallow
What?
a ring of this size would require considerable effort and determination. And in addition to
Your
its
Honor.
size, there are
Your Honor, it is the opinion. It is the opinion of the defense that Clint Van Zeek's little piss boy he was did not have the throat game needed to get this ring down his gullet.
there are the sharp claws around the gemstone to contend with.
My brother was a determined man.
He could suck a dick any size.
My brother could suck any dick he wanted, and they would be lucky, whoever's dick was being sucked. Oh man, I was not prepared for my brother was a determined man. Shit, I can do this. Hold on, give me a second to recenter. Let me get a slug of water. I'm
That's
a
right, I
professional,
won't
I'm a
make any
professional, I'm a
funny
professional.
noises in between this time.
My brother was a determined man, and on the brink of death even more so, I'm sure. He would have stopped at nothing to ensure that evil killer was brought to justice.
But if he really had swallowed that enormous ring, it's inconceivable that no traces of its passage down his throat would have remained as internal trauma.
No! Oh!
The throat of steel, they called him. And there you've arrived at the sticking point. That's precisely why I had my doubts about the findings myself 10 years ago.
Then why didn't you say something at the time?
I did. I still remember the conversation I had with Dr. Wilson in the laboratory that day. We're gonna get to see Dr. Wilson? I don't think he ever got lines. I'm pretty sure we found him dead.
We did. Not me. Not it.
Okay.
I can't be another person in this damn court right now. I'm already, like, my wires have been so crossed.
Some sort of British accent. Look at this. That's a vampire. Damn it. Damn it. Look at this.
Some accent we're not, quickly, an accent we're not using. Boy!
Damn it. Look at this.
That's really...
Now this is a very curious thing to find inside a man's
No,
stomach,
no, he
wouldn't you
needs to
say?
sound more posh. Do a posh. Do
Now
a posh
this
one
is a
for
very
us.
curious thing to find in a man's stomach, wouldn't you
There
say?
we are. There we are. I like that. I like
But
that. It's smooth.
isn't that rather peculiar, Dr. Wilson? What's that now, Mikotoba? Well, if he swallowed a ring of that size with those sharp metal claws that it has, surely you'd expect to see damage to the throat and esophagus. Torn mucous membranes at the very least. Dr. Mikotoba, may I remind you that I have vastly more experience than you. I'm terribly sorry. I can think of plenty of ways to explain why no injuries would be seen. No, let's say
Perhaps
this.
he was a throat
The
goat.
victim would appear to have ingested the item as evidence to identify his assailant. Go ahead, write it down. Add that throat goat thing too, just in case.
Just in case. I'll sign it. I'll sign it with my biggest signature. So
I'll
I
put
was
my John
right.
Wilson right on there.
You're what? You're not ready for that, but it's gonna be a hit in about 100 years. Wait, no, this is the 1800s. That already happened. That's recent memory. Pop culture reference for you. So I was right. Dr. Wilson deliberately fabricated the results of the autopsy to implicate my father. I'm disappointed, Counsel. That argument is nothing more than speculation. What? Dr. Wilson was Britain's leading authority on forensic science and autopsy work. There's no scientific basis on which to doubt the man's expert opinion.
Pardon the interruption, my lord, but damage to the mucous membranes of the throat is easily identified even in living subjects.
Using a device called an endoscope, recently demonstrated in practical use in France. I want one. The government can pay.
No!
I don't think so. And Dr. Gory, rest assured that your removal of evidence from the stores without permission shall not go unpunished. We open up the dead to find the truth. I beg your pardon. But the mama, she chose to stitch her corpses up with all her secrets inside. That's wrong.
Dr. Gory, it's looking as though she's chosen to walk a different path to her mama. Where the fuck is that mask hiding?
I don't know, man. She just like it disappears
Whoosh.
it from reality. It's kind of crazy. Yes, the ring. What about the ring? I've just remembered something. An earlier incident.
What incident?
The one I recounted to you before. About a memory I have. Of Genshin Asugi saving my life. What? My father saved your life? It was 10 years ago now, on a foggy night. Genshin and I were walking down some backstreet boys at a late hour. All of a sudden, it was not alright.
Don't make a peep, you're coming with us.
All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves.
Bang!
The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me.
Because they ripped the ring off.
It was on the ring finger of his left hand that he used
Wrong
to wear
voice.
that ring. Oh, thank you. It was on the ring finger of his left hand that he used to wear that ring. Dude, I like...
Are you
This
saying...
is the... I think this is the most... This is definitely the longest period I've been like 5 people in one room.
I know,
And
it's
my
crazy.
brain is turning into pudding. It just can't handle...
There's a lot of people in this courtroom.
It's like taking so much of my focus, and even then it doesn't work half the time because I see him and I go, vampire, and then my mouth just begins doing a different voice. I've always believed those thugs were after me, but now I'm starting to question if perhaps I wasn't the intended target after all. Wait, but... Genshin was arrested 2 days after that attack. And in that short interval, the decisive evidence needed to indict him was miraculously found.
You mean the ring was stolen from him? That's what you think those thugs were after that night? Objection!
Objection! You're really smacking the hell out of that table. You pathetic coward. You expect me to believe you weren't involved? What do you mean by that? It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who took it. You stole my father's ring. You set the whole thing up so you could paint him as a mass murderer.
Objection! Kazuma. Open your eyes.
Ryunosuke?
You must know deep down. The truth can be completely obscured even when your judgment is only slightly clouded. But at the moment, you seem to be floundering through a dense fog.
Huh.
Is that why you were so insistent I should be present in this trial? To see you like this?
Well, this is an amusing spectacle. What a grandiose expression on your face. As if you were Lady Justice herself. It seems you've thoroughly convinced yourself of this alleged fabrication of the autopsy results. So much that you're apparently blind to the blatant contradiction that would be born out of it.
What?
Although it's extremely hard to believe, let us imagine there is some misconduct during the autopsy. If that were the case, why would Asagi not have disputed the findings in his trial?
Oh.
In the closed court hearing 10 years ago, the defendant never once denied the claims against him. Isn't that right, Lord Van Zieks? Yes, that is indeed correct. Upon hearing the verdict of guilty, he merely closed his eyes, quietly accepting the judgment. The actions of a man who has accepted responsibility for his deeds and is resigned to his fate.
But then...
Oh my. That is very strange. Mr. Asaki did oppose to the charges against him then. That would surely mean there was no fabricated evidence.
Well, I don't remember what the Asagi papers said because it was 8 years ago that we read that. Material possessions of wealth belong to me in London. Deep sadness, I accept my fate in this foreign land and the knowledge that I will never see my homeland or family again, but I regret nothing about my chosen path. That doesn't really help anything. And he described it as the only weapon I have left. Is there a code in here someplace? I don't know.
Don't know that we have enough yet.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna come up, but I don't see what if it's obvious. I don't see it.
An obvious conclusion at which you have arrived. You should have arrived many minutes ago, Prosecutor Asagi. Your twisted loyalty and clouded judgment are hampering your ability for logical thought. Whoa! So many R's out of this guy. Genjin Asagi's silence at his hearing can only mean one thing. There was no fabrication of evidence during the autopsy of his final victim 10 years ago.
Ah! But if that autopsy was all above board, there'll be nothing to stop Lord Strongheart bringing this trial to an immediate conclusion.
Impossible to say who it was.
I think it was Kazuma.
Kazuma? Objection! Thank you, Ryunosuke. If it wasn't for your frank words just now, this trial may very well have ended prematurely.
Kazuma?
What's this latest absurdity, Council? My lord, your reasoning is perfectly sound, but for one giant hole. I beg your pardon? You claim my father's silence was due to the fact there was no fabricated evidence. But there's another possible explanation. You've overlooked the possibility that he had a reason for maintaining that silence.
At least his objections are obvious.
Right?
A different font and everything.
Silence that would lead him to being convicted and sent to his death. If the autopsy results were an invention, there's no conceivable reason why the man wouldn't have protested. I like this pose, very JoJo.
Yeah. When you're seeing it not from the side, it looks a little different.
Objection.
It do hit a little bit. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Different one.
I'm trying to plug in my headphones, and I've got 2 empty sparkling ice bottles here because I haven't put them in my trash can yet.
Oh no.
I missed my trash can with both bottles. More updates at 11. Hold on.
You're doing it.
We're here. My headphones will just give me a random little boop boop, and that means they need to be charged. Otherwise, they'll keep making that noise.
Mine gave me the other night when they died. It gave me low battery twice, and then after that they just died.
Wow. Oh, those results were an invention, all right. There's no question of that. Or are you forgetting that 2 people with a connection to that autopsy have been assassinated? If I force the grievances I feel from my mind, I start to see you in a very different light. I think perhaps it's you who's been living in delusion all these years. Me? Wait. Kazuma-sama has created one last chance for us here, Mr. Naruto. If we can only show that there was a reason for his father's silence in his trial.
A reason why the man would have said nothing, even though he was innocent. It would have been part of some negotiation, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Enough rhetoric. The court must be shown evidence. What proof do you have that could possibly explain Asagi's silence in court? I mean, it's definitely his
Papers,
will.
I assume.
Yeah.
Take that. This is the defense's answer to that. Okay, that's wrong then.
Oh, at least we got new things because of the to be continued.
Yeah, that's good.
As I indicated before, my patience for rhetoric is growing thin.
Could have at least accompanied that penalty with an explanation of why that answer was wrong.
Kazuma-sama's father knew the evidence being used to convict him was fabricated. why would he have said nothing in his trial?
If it were me, I'd have protested my innocence until I was blue in the face.
So if we're right about our autopsy results, there must have been a strong reason for his silence.
Well then, perhaps he was saying nothing in exchange for some sort of clemency. Ah, that could be it. My lord, the defense would like to...
Enough, Renner. The court must be shown evidence.
Okay. Wasn't that... What would he have been given, though? Because we can't pick a person. And this is getting to stuff that has nothing to do with
Is it something with karma?
I was gonna say karma, maybe?
Because this is our final weapon? I think we try presenting it.
Take that!
Nope.
Damn it.
Music didn't change. Or
I was so sure.
It's gotta be something. Yeah, I was too. It's like maybe so we could get the sword sent home.
Get the sword back because it's like very important.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Can we look at the chat history?
Yeah.
I just need to...
He was saying nothing in exchange for some sort of clemency.
Why would you said nothing?
Can I go back to before we failed twice to see if they said anything specific there? Part of some sort of negotiation. Well, what was he given in exchange?
What's the green?
The green.
What's the green text there?
Green is like the current text, like the
I was just
question
trying to
we have
see
to
it.
answer. Yeah.
All right, let's start at the B. Let's take it from the top.
He was not given our defense.
It's not the armband.
No.
It's not the red-headed league. It's not
not-
Mr. Vigil.
No.
That's nothing. Dismissal notice? I don't think
Right,
so.
redundancy pay and I don't think so. No.
Or unless
Wait, is the thing that he was being
Is
given
that
for
it?
silence where they're gonna sneak him out of the country?
they were gonna sneak him out of the country, right? Because that was at like every level.
that was
he just got
everybody.
shot by fucking
Somebody just fucking
Era.
somebody.
He got
capped
shot
him.
by oldie ass men, or some shit.
No, Odie Assman was the one that was grave robbing.
Oh,
I'm
he
betting
did
I'm betting fucking
No,
Strongheart just
and
shot
I-
him because we never find out who shot him.
Enach Threber was
Yeah, he was the one that dug him up.
there.
Odie
Yeah,
Assman
and
was the
Odie
guy that
Assman
interviewed
was
him.
there, was interviewed him and drew the picture.
Right.
I just for some reason briefly thought that Odie Assman was also there, but yeah, someone behind Enoch shot him. So it
and
must
we never
be
found out who
that.
that was. So Strongheart probably just fucking killed him.
Probably. I mean, it must be that then, right? The dismissal notice?
I think so. Cook out of prisons. Aiding and abetting escape from prison of convict just
Yeah,
prior to his
just
execution.
to-
Let's try this. I think that comes together. I think that holds. Yes, okay.
Yep. That's
It's true
it,
that
okay.
Genshin Asugi's silence during his trial resulted in his conviction, but that didn't actually lead to his execution. On the contrary, it led to his escape, an escape that was only possible because he'd been sentenced to death.
Although I find it hard to believe my father would have negotiated in that way. The defense is correct. Fake execution, falsification of a death certificate, and a jailbreak inside a coffin. Clearly such an elaborate plan couldn't have been carried out by my father alone. He must have had the help of a collaborator from the judiciary.
I have here the dismissal notice of the chief warder who was working in the prison at the time. The notes read, there are indications that the jailbreak was in planning prior to the inmate's incarceration. In other words, there were suggestions of some sort of negotiation between Mr. Asugi and the British government.
In exchange for his silence in court, he was given an assurance that he would be broken out of prison. Yeah, so that sort of clandestine agreement in place, I can imagine he would have kept very quiet.
I would go further than that, in fact. I would say that the elaborate jailbreak of Mr. Asugi can be explained in no other way.
Order! Order! First fabricated evidence, and now a jailbreak conspiracy.
Of course, because it's all intimately linked.
The prosecution wishes to summon new witnesses to the stand. We gotta get the jail warden guy, right?
Yeah. The warden and maybe
I was wondering
Daly
when he was
too.
gonna be. I was wondering when we were gonna have him back.
Yeah. At which point, I think after this, like, after whatever happens here would probably be a good stopping point, because I think we're not close to the end yet.
No. No, we are not. We are not.
That's why I put maybe in the title, because we didn't know.
Witnesses? People who can testify about the jailbreak that took place 10 years ago.
Ah!
Governor Caden? And that poor chief warder of the prison. He has a name, you know. I don't know why I said that in the he has a wife, you know, tone, but I did. I haven't thought about that video in a while.
That's been a while.
His name is Sussasamogus. What's so funny about Sussasamogus? I won't allow this trial to turn into a farce. To summon the governor of the prison after all these years.
Oh, it wouldn't be any trouble, my lord. Holy shit.
I brought him along. Are we just gonna daisy chain fuckers? And what's happening?
Hell yeah. Let's get 18 people in this courtroom, baby.
Because it's like, Herlock Sholmes was like, no, I brought Mikitoba. And Mikitoba's gonna be like, oh no, I brought Governor Caden.
He's here right now. This is presumably what Sholmes and him were doing, is just gathering people.
Father?
My dear friend may appear a little rattle-pated at times. But I can assure you he's extremely thorough. He wired both Barclay and the local prison earlier. Asking Governor Caden and Mr. Vigil to attend the Old Bailey is a matter of extreme urgency. Mr. Sholmes did that.
Are you telling me that?
Both men are, unless I'm much mistaken. Waiting just outside the courtroom at this very moment.
Awesome. My lord, you must permit this trial to proceed as you declared at its outset. You promised that we would stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings.
I say a lot of shit, Counsel.
You can't expect me to remember everything I'm saying. Very well. Bring in the witnesses. Make no mistake. I too would like nothing more than to lay this business to rest once and for all.
Realistically speaking, if he just said no, could they do anything?
Well, the game is setting up that he can't just say no because the judiciary won't let him.
Right.
Like, the judiciary in the stands
he would lose
is like,
all respect from everyone.
he would lose, like, they might just, like, call him guilty of something, or at least oust him in his role.
Right.
So, like, I kind of buy that. I buy that for $1.
I'm glad they're bringing in the whole crew to roast this fucking guy. Everybody from the whole game comes to kick this guy's ass. Alright, but we'll have to continue this ass-kicking next time, so thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night. We'll catch you tomorrow for Pokemon Emerald Sea Glass. Bye-bye.